Did ESPN and Adrian Wojnarowski try to intentionally sabotage the Sixers? And is there any indication that James Harden wants to leave Philadelphia? All that and more coming up on Philly Take with RB.
Perfect.
What is going on, everyone? RB here. Welcome into the show. Drop a like, subscribe, hit the bell for more content. We just have to jump right into this one today because it has now been a day since this has passed as I'm recording this. And, you know, it's still frustrating to me. It's still annoying, but I'm glad I gave it a little time to sit. The Sixers won again, another massive comeback. They've won 8 in a row. Everybody hates Philly. Everybody hates us. They can't stop us, though, and they won't stop us. And these boys are rolling, man. Through all the adversity, through all the noise, and you may be sitting there and wondering, yo, RB, what are you talking about right now? What are you talking about? Well, let's talk about what happened, because yesterday at approximately 11:30 a.m., what happened was intentional sabotage, and I am not happy about it at all. I'm still annoyed about it, and we're going to talk about if it actually makes sense in terms of the substance, and we're going to talk about why this happened. But first and foremost, I mean, this is inexcusable. So here's what happened 30 minutes before the Sixers Christmas Day game yesterday against the New York Knicks. So I go on Twitter and there's an article, a big headline. This comes out from Adrian Wojnarowski and ESPN. He says, ESPN sources, All-Star guard James Harden is seriously considering a return to the Houston Rockets in free agency this July if he decides against a new deal with the 76ers. And again, this is a huge holiday. This is one of the biggest days of the year for the NBA. Everybody's tuning in. Everybody has the TV on in the background. It's NBA Christmas Day, and the Sixers are in the primary 12 o'clock slot against the New York Knicks. A big game, a great thing, and this comes out. Now, before we really dive into this, let's put some context here for people that may not be aware. So the Sixers, before yesterday's game, obviously we won, but let's go back before that. The Sixers had won 7 in a row. They are coming off the biggest win of the year, a 20-point comeback against the Los Angeles Clippers. Everybody's contributing. Joel Embiid, James Harden, Tobias Harris. Everybody is clicking right now. We still don't have Tyrese Maxey back. We were once 12-12, pondering the future, and now we feel really, really confident about this team, 20-12, and we have won 8 straight, but at this time, 7 straight. And everything's going well. Everything's good. So what was the intent here with this? What was the purpose of putting this out 30 minutes before a Christmas Day game? Well, I'll tell you what it was. It was it was an outcry, and it was a desperation heave to try to go out there and get ratings. That's what it was. All right. I mean, let's call it how it is. I mean, everybody is going to be sitting there on Christmas Day, right? You'll have the regular Bobby, regular Joe, whoever, right? Who's there with their family, maybe their cousins or their buddies, and they're watching TV or they have Twitter pulled up, and they're going to see a big alert. They're going to see a big thing come through their phone. James Harden pondering return to Houston next July in free agency. And then that person's going to share it with their cousins or friends, and that person's going to share it with their friends, and then it's going to be a downfall effect, right? It's going to spiral and continue to go. And that's just how news is nowadays. That's how media is, unfortunately, with the society that we live in. Okay, fine, I get it. Everybody has a job. But this is supposed to be the most credited network. This is supposed to be, a credible sports network that everybody has relied on for decades now. And they put this out, right before a Christmas Day game, when the Sixers are on their best stretch of the season, when everything is working. I mean, it's just a desperation move to try to get more clicks. And look, everybody's in the business. Everybody wants to gain more viewers, but really, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. It makes no sense to me. And you know what's even funnier is during this Christmas Day game, I put this out on Twitter. ESPN showed a clip of the Joel Embiid interview that we covered last week here on this channel, where he was actually talking about how great of a teammate James Harden has been. He said it. James Harden has adapted, our games have aligned, and, things of that nature. Like, he's really proud of James Harden. They don't have a problem like people have tried, to make it out to be. So everything is okay. You even saw Embiid yesterday pumping up the Garden when the Sixers went on a huge fourth quarter run. Harden and Embiid are celebrating. They have been perfectly fine together when I start to think on this more and I let it settle a little bit, I don't even think I can be mad at Woj, because the people that have the ability to do something about this, the people in charge, are probably the ones calling the shots. I don't even think Woj wanted to put that out. I think it was an order from up top, from someone in the marketing department or whatever. Yo, put this out. Let's get as many clicks as we can on Christmas Day while everybody is tuned in. It is an absolute disgrace. It is a joke, and it's frustrating. But, you know, there are creators out there. There are other Sixers creators. I like to think this platform tries to bring, you know, consistent, solid news coverage with the Sixers. You have great reporters who, you know, do an incredible job. And my message, I guess, to everyone out there would be choose wisely. You know, open your ears and just hesitate a little bit more when kind of scanning the field and looking at your sources in terms of where to get your sports coverage. And just try to keep your eyes open, because really, you put this out amidst a 7-game win streak when everything's going well. I mean, does that make sense? But again, the casual viewer is not going to think about that. They don't know the Sixers have won 7 in a row. They're just going to see this, and then it'll start to spread. I look at this article, and the title is complete clickbait. So here's the first sentence. James Harden is seriously considering a return to the Rockets in free agency if he decides against a new deal with the Sixers. So if he doesn't re-sign with the Sixers, he could go somewhere else. Wow, that is huge news. And I guess we had to know about it on Christmas. Harden and his inner circle have been openly weighing Houston in recent months, a remarkable possibility given that he requested and received a trade out of the franchise less than 2 years ago. Who's the sources here? Who are the sources? Lil Baby and Travis Scott? I mean, come on now. We're going to talk about if this makes sense, but really, this is no new news to Sixers fans. If you have watched this channel, I covered this in the offseason. We talked about it as James Harden negotiated the contract. It's so easy when you break it down. And Sixers fans that watch this team and consistently stay up to date with them know this already. It was a win-win situation. The Sixers, went out and got more help, got more pieces to try to make this a championship roster. James Harden took a pay cut, given the fact that he did not play well at the end of last season. He bet on himself, and he's out here trying to win a championship. He said it weeks ago in his own words in an interview. He said, I've done everything. I've already cemented my legacy, but the last thing to put the icing on top is I need to win a championship. And that's clear as day. He's happy here. He's happy with Joel Embiid. He's in communication with his guy, Daryl Morey. They're trying to get as many pieces as possible to bring in to try to make this a championship team, because this is the best roster Embiid has ever had around him, and they're trying to push it in this year. Everybody knows this. And James Harden took the pay cut so that if he came out and looked better this year, which he has, he looks like an all-star MVP caliber point guard right now, leading the league in assists, that he could go out and potentially get 1, a longer contract, 2, more money, and 3, the best situation possible for him and his career. And whether that's here or somewhere else, that remains to be seen. But we already knew this. We already knew it's a possibility given the fact with his contract, he can opt out of this, after this year and try to negotiate a longer contract. And this is what he wanted. He's playing well, but this is what we wanted. We wanted him playing better for the betterment of the team. So we already knew this stuff, but I guess this is like a good time to try to spark, the views and stuff like that. And here's what Joel Embiid put out on Instagram. Maybe a little bit of a slight at Adrian Wojnarowski after the game. This was Joel Embiid's Instagram post saying Merry Christmas after the big W. And this was the 4th picture. Look who it is. It's Joel Embiid and it's James Harden, putting the star on top of the tree. And he says, Merry Christmas from me and mine to y'all. So is that a little bit of a slight? Maybe they saw that report. It's just crazy how, everybody hates Philly. They tried to intentionally mess up our chemistry. You couldn't have waited until, I don't know, we're on a 10-game losing streak or we're in a bad stretch. Even a couple weeks ago when we were really down bad, when everybody was talking about firing somebody or this or that. Now, you wait until we're on a 7-game win streak. Well, now we're on an 8-game win streak. And I'll tell whoever is out there listening, because, again, this show is minuscule compared to platforms like ESPN. But, it's just not going to work in the long term. Like, once you find more educated viewers, which I believe the internet is, creating more educated viewers who can seek out their own coverage, this stuff is not going to fly. Like, we know as Sixers fans, this is a very, very smart fan base, and we're not going to let this happen. And the Sixers are not going to let this happen. They thought that they were going to mess with this chemistry. Well, guess what? Sixers went out and got another big W yesterday. And so, okay, let's say that James Harden actually does want to leave, right? Let's say he's, done. Sixers have a quick playoff bounce and he wants to go. So based off of what I just said about James Harden and what he had said about wanting to win a championship, you're telling me that the destination he would want to go to and pick is the Houston Rockets. Now, remember, he burned bad bridges with the Houston Rockets by, the way he requested the trade and went up to that podium and left. Okay, so he wants to go back there. And Woj even says here in the article, after what would become relatively brief stops, a move back to rebuilding Rockets franchise would effectively represent comfort and familiarity over an immediate championship pursuit. He literally just came out weeks ago and said that he wants to win a championship. So that just shows me right there, in my opinion, that this is complete bogus. And you're talking about the Rockets. He goes on about the Rockets. Let me tell you something. No offense to the Rockets fans who may be tuning into this show, but you're not going to win for 3-4 years. You're stacking up nice draft assets. You're getting there, but you're not anywhere yet ready to compete with some of the juggernauts. And they're stacking up picks. And even with all the draft picks they have, they're getting ready to potentially be a lottery team again. So this whole thing just doesn't make sense. I'll wrap it up by saying this. Is there legitimacy in this? I don't know. James Harden may want to go somewhere else if he's offered more money and he sees a better situation, but he has been openly expressed, saying that he likes it here. He was asked about it after the game and he said, I haven't heard about that report. I haven't heard about that report and I'm not going to speak on it. He wasn't committed to it or non-committed to it. But, even though people are frustrated about that, I don't blame him. He doesn't have to answer questions about that on an 8-game win streak. But at the end of the day, you have this as well, the last part of this article. For all of Harden's history and connection with Daryl Morey and Tad Brown, his working relationships with Embiid and Coach Doc Rivers resemble something closer to a work in progress. You mean like every relationship in the entire world and every business, relationships are constantly worked on and continually built on. So, I don't know, man. We knew this months ago and they tried to put this out and they tried to clickbait at the best time possible. And I just hope the viewers out there can see through it. And I think our Sixers will continue to build and I think we will be okay moving forward. But yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating that they tried to do that to our fan base. Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Give me yours down below. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. And like always, I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.